Shalom, family. Since Big Judah brought out the Ley-Line video, tonight he mentioned he referenced the video Big Levi dropped. I didn't watch that one yet, but I saw Big Judah's video, and in the comments he referenced to in regards to Big Levi's video. So immediately when he was reading from the book of Enoch, this book came to mind. The book of knowledge, the keys of Enoch. All right, this book came to mind. If I remember correctly, when I found out about this book over a year ago, I shared it with Big Judah, and he made a video. It's funny. It's funny how the Most High works. It's amazing. Watch this. Big Judah made a video on this, the return of the dove. Well, you're going to find out tonight, after I read these things, how interwoven is the return of the dove with the ley lines, Atlantean technology, Atlantis, the children of Israel, the return of our Father, places, locations, and time. It's all in this chapter that Big Judah talked about, but he discussed just this page. So let's read the chapter together. Big homie, this is for you. Hopefully you find it. All right, so I'm gonna start from the top, y'all. Just page 43 of the book of knowledge, the keys of Enoch. Just bear with me. I just want to read everything, so it might be a little long-winded. It's only 4 pages. 4 pages, but about 54 small paragraphs, 4 or 5 pages. All right. Here we go. I'm not gonna read the intro. The intro is, this book is very intelligent book. It's not an easy book to understand sometimes, right? So you pray for understanding before you go into a book like this, so the Most High can remove your spiritual cataracts and give you understanding and wisdom, right? And reveal to you the secrets in his books. But this chapter is somewhat fairly easy to understand, but it's speaking clearly about ley lines and other stuff. This key is speaking directly of consciousness programming. It is telling us that consciousness programming is connected with the Great Pyramid, which is referred in the mystical scriptures of the ancient Near East as the foundation stone already. They're telling you now, this is speaking to consciousness programming and is connected with the Great Pyramid, which is also being referred as the foundation stone. The consciousness forces of the Great Pyramid are cued with specific star points, which are working with planetary time warp areas. In order to understand what time warp areas represent, we have to understand the time warp fields as a type of energy pyramid. First, we must look at the geophysical time warp of the Earth, which is meridians drawn according to the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. We note that these areas of the Earth's magnetic field, as well as the solar flares caused by the sun's celestial movement, meet at certain energy points or vortices. What is not shown on mappings of the vortex jar of time warp zones is their connection with the stars of the ancient astrophysical stations of light upon the Earth. Hey, hon, bring me some water, please. And if we consider the star fields as giving some mapping of where the Earth's biosphere, as a watery prism stands in relationship to given star fields, we still understand why the ancient Egyptian texts refer to Emski, and why the Great Pyramid was aligned with Mentaka, Delta, Anilam, Epsilon, thank you, and Alnitak, Zeta, Intact, Orion, Orion axis. Now, big names, right? But sit tight. Sit tight. Listen to this. These I just mentioned about some location. These are the central threshold controls of the region of positive programming used by the Elohim, Lords of Light, to connect the many galaxies to our Father universe. These locations I just mentioned are used by Lords of Light, right? I guess the heavenly angels, they're referred to here as Lord of Light. They use these connecting points to connect and travel, okay, from galaxies, from their galaxies to our universe. Okay? All right, let's read that again. These are central threshold controls, all the region of positive programming used by the Elohim Lords of Light to connect the many galaxies to our Father universe within our galactic quadrant. These threshold controls are necessary in coordinating celestial navigation between universes. These threshold controls, they're saying, is necessary to connect navigation, celestial navigation, okay, between universes. So you already know what time it is. So they're using these different points, specific locations, to travel from one galaxy to the next, one universe to the next. All right. Through the energies of Orion, the central threshold control the higher beings of light move across the waters of the deep. Let me read that again. Through the energies of Orion, the central threshold control the higher beings of light move across the waters of the deep. So now you have waters of the deep, and you have these higher beings traveling through the waters of the deep using these central control threshold locations. So they're using these things also to travel through the deep, the waters of the deep. All right, let's keep pushing. We're going to get to the ley lines very soon, but I want to read this from the top. We must also understand the Pleiades. Now understand, there's a water kingdom, right? There's a water kingdom. The water is not what you think it is. It's not just water down there. It's way more down there than water. And fish. I was watching a show one time. There was like there are rivers under the water. Okay? So check this out. We must also understand the Pleiades cluster as one of the key centers for the propagation of light. The Pleiades is the constellation Taurus, is not to be thought of as a separate threshold. Okay? But according to Enoch, the Pleiades is a measurement for all key time clocks. Listen, the Pleiades in the constellation Taurus is not to be thought of as a separate threshold control for the measurement of planetary systems. But according to Enoch, the Pleiades is a measurement for all key time clocks, all astrophysical temples of measurement. These time clocks of the earth are located on magnetic grids and focused into the Great Pyramid. I'm going to show you something before I continue. This is how it looks. This is where I'm reading from. And this is how this looks. Okay, let me bring this up. All right, let's go. These time clocks on the earth are located on magnetic grids and focused into the Great Pyramid. So they're located on magnetic grid and focused into the Great Pyramid. Now we know where these pyramids are located, right? We know these pyramids when you go in this book, the Americas before Columbus, you could see all the great pyramids in this book, right? This book talk about all these pyramids. For the sake of time, I'm going to do this at the end of the video, or not right now. And also, when you go in this book, all right, it's called the Trout of the Stick of Joseph. It talks about, listen to this. Everywhere we look, from the air, the pilots point out ruins of the ancient cities, temple of Quetzalcoatl, the sun god, the feathered serpents. This book talk about all the pyramids. All right, we're gonna go into that. I want to continue this study real quick. We see the earth is controlled by great geometric energy spokes. Okay, it's called geometric energy spokes. And now each energy spoke has within it 12 energy spokes. Okay, all interconnected at certain parts of the Earth's star field. Everything is interconnected. This energy spoke, one great energy spoke, has within it 12 energy spoke, and everything is interconnected and everything is directed, or as a magnetic grid directed to the Great Pyramid. Now listen to this. Invisible lines, there you go. Invisible lines are forced. Invisible line of force establish a systematic pattern for the formation of particles of matter and antimatter in the programming and control of the individual intelligence. It gets really interesting going forward. Invisible lines, number 9. Invisible lines of force establish a systematic pattern for the formation of particles of matter and antimatter in the programming and control of individual intelligence. The main lattice formed by these lines, another line again, the main lattice formed by these lines of force consists of 30 minutes of arc divisible into 16 smaller grid areas, measuring 7.5 minutes of arc by 6 minutes of arc, or 45 square nautical miles unit. Now, this is straight mathematics, right? And we know Abraham was also given this knowledge, and he taught the knowledge to the Egyptians. So now Enoch is breaking this down. I don't know what the hell he's talking about, but let's just read it. Each one of the 12 main lattice areas is controlled by a high-frequency geophysical pyramid. What appears as the physical structure of these time warp areas exists in reality as a twin force of matter and antimatter, which creates a mirror-like image, which can be used to alter physical reality. Whoa, did you hear that? Let me read that again. Each of the 12 main lattice areas is controlled by a high-frequency geophysical pyramid, which appears as the physical structure of these time warp areas, exists in reality as a twin force of matter and antimatter, which creates a mirror-like image, which can be used to alter physical reality to a much higher reality of universal intelligence. Okay? This greater reality uses A-line and B-line solar radiational field to create the vertical and horizontal energy cube around the Earth's rotational field. So this is talking about these lines are not just on the Earth plane. These lines are in the air. These lines are in the atmosphere. These lines is in our solar system. This greater reality uses A-line and B-line solar radiational fields to create vertical and horizontal energy cube around the Earth's rotational field. So this is what it looks like again. Okay? So let's keep pushing. The Brotherhood of Light uses these 12 grids of vortex jar to enable them to come into the earth biosphere. The Brotherhood of Light, I don't know, these are the angels of God. They use these grids to allow them to come into the earth biosphere, right? They travel by these grids, but they travel by these lines, okay? To enter into the earth biosphere and build great civilizations to help the consciousness of men understand his divine origin. Enoch explained to me how the Brotherhood of Light first sought to upgrade intelligence upon this planet eons ago, and that the first attempt in recent cycles of time took place in the Cataclysmic desert, where the civilization of Tak was evolved 36,000 years ago and reached over a vast area. Listen to this, y'all. It gets very interesting. Okay? Was evolved 36,000 years ago and reached over a vast area to what men has called South America. Great city areas were built and seated with a great technology. Big Levi, this one is for you. With a great technology of the heavens, so that men could directly call upon the name of the Lord of Light. And who's the Lord of Light? The Messiah Yahweh. Okay, let's read that again. Start from the top. Okay. Enoch explained to me how the Brotherhood of Light first sought to upgrade intelligence upon this planet eons ago, and that the first attempt in recent cycles of time took place in the Cataclysmic desert, where the civilization of Tak was evolved 36,000 years ago and reached over a vast area to what is now called South America. Great city areas were built and seated with a great technology of the heavens. South America had a great technology. Great city areas were seated with a great technology of the heavens, so that men, us, could communicate directly, could call directly upon the name of Yahweh, the Lord of Lights, while living in the bodies that were of great light and of light molecular density. Yo, this is amazing stuff, okay? So, let me keep pushing. After this experiment ended in disaster, listen to this, Big Levi. After this experiment ended in disaster with the people of light intermarrying with the fallen offsprings of the Lords of Light, another experiment was generated in an area of the world known as Atlantis. Okay? After the first experiment was done, where we can communicate directly with the Most High while living in a body, another experiment was performed in another part of America. All right? Okay? Called Atlantis. The Atlantean technology was based upon crystalline attunement of the matter and antimatter cycles of the physical and non-physical worlds. Their technology was based upon crystalline attunement of matter and antimatter cycles of the physical and non-physical worlds. Right? The seen and the unseen. Matter, antimatter. Spirit, tangible, right? All right. By stepping up or slowing down the frequency, this is how they did it. By stepping up the frequency or slowing down the frequency of energy between the two cycles, they could cause a shift in time-space to occur. This, however, Big Levi, that's for you again. This, however, ended in failure. Due to the mixing of genetic codes and factors of light by the fallen axis lords of light, who used their crystalline technology to bring this great civilization of light into war and destruction. There you go with your Atlantis. When you talked about the Atlantean detonate a bomb, well, it was maybe it was a bomb, but according to this, it was a little bit more sophisticated than a bomb. Okay, so this, however, ended in failure due to the mixing of genetic codes and factors of light by the fallen Axis lords of light, who used their crystalline technology to bring this great civilization of light into war and destruction. Let's keep pushing. Remember, their technology was based on crystalline attunement, all right, of matter and antimatter, and they used that the wrong way. All right, and it caused this great civilization of light to fall into war and destruction. The last attempt in generating a higher genetic people took place during the time of Egypt, 6,000 years ago. All right, it gets better. When the great people of Israel, with a higher spiritual capacity of Nefesh, were implanted to upgrade the peoples of the world by bringing the message of Yahweh and Yahweh's kingdom of light to all nations. There goes your Jubilee. I have chosen Jacob to be a light unto the nations. I have chosen you and called Hashem. You set you apart and put you above all the peoples, right? And why were you doing that? Why did the Most High choose Jacob? To do what? To do this. To bring the message of Yahweh and Yahweh's kingdom of light to all nations. It gets better. All three civilizations use pyramids of light, which also exist on higher matter energy planes in the Taka Makan area. Now we're getting locations. We're getting specific locations, right, where all these things are. All three civilizations use pyramids of light, which also, I believe Big Judah video also have locations. All three civilizations use pyramids of light, which also exist on higher matter energy planes in the Taka Makan area, the Peruvian area of South America, the Bermuda Triangle area, and the Great Pyramid of Giza. The pyramids were used as initiation points for the vehicles of the dove. There goes the dove, Big Judah. That's for you right there. The pyramids were used as initiation points for the vehicles of the dove and those who reign with the Brotherhood of Light. Thus, the return of the dove is directed to the previous initiation points built along pyramidal grids. So this is the return of the dove. So I guess when the dove returned, they returned the dove, right? We see the dove, we know that's the spirit, the Holy Spirit, our earthly mother. But there was a location also that the dove returned to, according to what I just read. Thus, the return of the dove is directed to the previous initiation points built along pyramidal grades. I guess from there, it just shifted out to wherever the dove needed to go to, right? I don't know. I'm just reading this. In order for us to understand the present cycle of evolution, we must understand how the Brotherhood are still connected to the pyramid in Egypt as a continuation of Joseph, Moses, and Jesus. Initiation into the governing of the special species. Okay? The Israelites, us, who were to be the pyramid builders of consciousness for the name of Yahweh, to lead the nations of men away from the false gods of this world as a gathering of the 12 sparks into the brotherhood of light. And Enoch explained to me that just as Egypt represents the mathematical, astronomical pyramidal foundation of the earth exemplified in the Great Pyramid at Giza, so Israel represents the spiritual capstone of light, exemplified by the peoplehood of Israel, who received the 10 Commandments while traveling through the geophysical pyramid of the Sinai Peninsula. Well, let's hold up. Wait a minute. Egypt does not represent mathematical, astronomical, pyramidal foundation of the earth. They learned that from Abraham. Okay, so Let's see the bones here a little bit. But however, though, it says, as Egypt represent mathematical, astronomical, pyramidal foundation of the earth, exemplified in the Great Pyramid at Giza, so Israel represents the spiritual capstone of light. So this is only gonna happen through Israel. We represent the spiritual capstone of light, right? Because we belong to the Lord of lights. And the Yahweh, the Lord of light gave us this technology, right? And that's what the Atlanteans, they used wrongly. So Israel now, where we at? Okay, the Israelites who were to be the pyramid builders of consciousness for the name of Yahweh to lead the nations. Okay, back down, right here. Israel represents the spiritual capstone of light, exemplified by the peoplehood of Israel, who received the 10 commandments while traveling through the geophysical pyramid of the Sinai Peninsula. Now, the 10 commandments, real quick deviation, they were not called the 10 commandments at first. They were called the 10 guidances of happy living. That's found in the first book of Aki, I think the book of the grandmothers. I'll correct myself in another video. The 10 guidances of happy living, okay? So when you love people, you don't commend them. You direct them with love, compassion, consideration. So through the precepts of men, over time, it was changed from the 10 guidances of happy living to the 10 commandments. Now he's saying to you, now Israel represents the spiritual capstone of light, okay? Exemplified by the peoplehood of Israel who received the 10 commandments while traveling through geophysical pyramid of the Sinai Peninsula. It gets better, y'all. When humanity can find the spiritual Israel within and acknowledge an alignment of the great pyramid without, they can place the capstone of spiritual freedom upon the foundation of this world. Thus, we see the ground plane of the physical vortex as the alignment of both Israel and Egypt, which has been used to create the people of Israel. Okay, so let's keep that moving right here. Okay, there you go. When humanity can center the vortex along the magnetic meridians of the earth, they will see how the Great Pyramid gives the points of survival as well as the points of contact used by the Merkaba vehicles to program the next exodus out of the old meridians of time into the new consciousness space of rebirth within the planispheres. So the Merkaba vehicles, I believe these are the chariots, and I believe the book of Enoch talk about Merkaba, what Merkaba is. So he's saying here that when humanity entered this vortex along the magnetic meridians of the earth, then they will see how the Great Pyramid gives the points of survival as well as the points of contact used by the Merkaba vehicles to program, right? They're gonna use these points, this system with the vehicles to program the next exodus out of this old meridian of time into the new consciousness space of rebirth within the planispheres. Enoch explained that when mankind opens the pyramid sphinx and uses the consciousness meridians, which connect the 12 energy vortices of the world to the pyramid sphinx, he will have reached a threshold where the energy vehicles can return. The energy vehicles can return and take mankind to the next evolutionary station. In fact, the Great Pyramid is built on such a point where the magnetic fields under the earth, lines where the magnetic fields under the earth, those on the surface of the earth, and those on the celestial fields all across, so that the fields of alignment are direct. See, these fields are on the earth, under the earth, and also in the celestial fields. In the solar system, I guess in the firmament, wherever that they may be found, they're everywhere. And the angels use them to come into our universe. They use them to come into our sphere, and they travel by them. And based on what I've been reading, these are key points where a whole lot of stuff is gonna be happening. it's just a whole lot of stuff in here, okay? So let me keep reading it. Big Judah, you'll do a much better video at this than I can ever. In fact, the Great Pyramid, so I just read that. Okay. 27. These magnetic fields are aligned through areas of magnetic energy, which mark the points where energies from outer space pour into the Earth's surface. Can you hear that? These fields are aligned, okay, through magnetic energy marks. Through magnetic energy, which mark the points where energies from outer space pour into the Earth's surface. These areas are balanced on the Earth by the magnetic north and south pole. And at the same time, when tremendous solar flare movements bombard these magnetic points of the Earth, the fields of the Earth will be set in cataclysmic imbalance, spinning the shell of the Earth to new magnetic meridians, which find their balances equatorially. Now, listen up. And once man understands how the Great Pyramid is a geophysical model for these magnetic changes in the Earth, he will recognize that the pyramid is the actual foundation stone placed directly in the center of the Earth. This is why they build churches on top of these pyramids in all over South America, right? And in this book, see that? This book talk about it. Okay? The Americas Before Columbus. It's a big book. This book is almost $1,000 on Amazon. If you get a $10 copy, but it's not the same. The real one is like $1,000. But who knows? Maybe it's the same. Okay? Where am I? I was in 27. Now I'm in 28. Okay. 28. Now I'm in 29. The ancient astrophysical text speaks of previous geophysical tumbles which happened during the great cataclysms, when, for example, the area commonly called the Sudan Basin was at the North Pole. And when we connect the natural magnetic fields with the shifting magnetic fields, we can understand how the natural time wraps already exist within different focal points of the Earth's energy index. I'm just going to read, okay? The higher intelligence coming from a galactic light threshold needs only to draw lines between given vortex jar of the Earth and moving magnetic vortices in the airstreams in order to set in motion all of the spectrum controls necessary to establish their coordinates. So I guess it says the higher intelligence, okay, coming from outer space, galactic light threshold, needs only to draw lines between given vortex of the Earth, right? This location, that location, okay, in order to set in motion all of the spectrum controls necessary to establish their coordinates. That's how they travel in here. They just beam the location and boom. They just get there, right? The vehicles establish molecular triangular coordinate patterns in the air. You see that? That's how you could see this. They just stand in the sky. Every time you see a chariot video pop up, you could see the chariot just stand in the sky, like, and then they could go up and down to the side, and they defy logic because they just pinpoint this location instantaneously, and they could just move around, right, and do whatever they do. Right? This thing gets better. It gets better. All right, check this out. The higher intelligence coming from a galactic light threshold needs only to draw lines between the given vortex on the Earth and moving magnetic vortices in the airstreams in order to set in motion all of the spectrum controls necessary to establish their coordinates. Their vehicles establish molecular triangle coordinate patterns in the air. as well as on the earth, which permits them to come into the earth field of intelligence. This, whatever the vortex, the location that they pinpoint on our earth plane, permit them, right, to triangulate the coordinates in the air, permits them to come into the earth field of intelligence. When we understand this, we got to understand this, all right? We can see that it is the consciousness of the higher mind that draw lines in between respective sun systems and know which type of energy meridian to work with. So hold up. Consciousness? Higher mind? Wait, when we understand this, we can see that it is the consciousness of the higher mind that draw lines. So you mean to tell me this thing is in us? It's the consciousness of the higher mind. Oh, it's from God, and He's going to beam it into our head, right? Like Big Levi talk about, He beam information into our heart, into our mind. So when we understand this, we can see that it is a consciousness of the higher mind. Who's the higher mind? The Most High, right? He's the higher mind, I suppose, right? It's the consciousness of the higher mind that draws lines in between respective sun systems, and knows which type of energy meridian to work with. So that's definitely the Most High at work, and He's just going to he's going to give us this information back, right? So let's keep reading. The spiritual higher mind, see him again, right? Draws lines between the earth pyramidal zones. The Most High, He is the spiritual higher mind. So I was just guessing, but He just tell me right here. The spiritual higher mind draws lines between the earth zones, pyramidal zones, existing on the magnetic horizon, and its own threshold controls, thus allowing it to intersect in the earth's pyramidal forces with the celestial pyramid, Orion. This activity must take place in order to secure the time warps as points of physical rebirth. People, listen to this. When this takes place, the keystone or the pyramidal when this takes place, the keystone or the pyramid color cap can come down upon the pyramid vortex. For example, the higher intelligence, the Most High, is coming into the ocean through the Pyramid 5 energy configuration of the Bermuda Triangle. It's an example. Okay? The higher intelligence is coming into the ocean through what? Pyramid 5 energy configuration of the Bermuda Triangle. It is making use of the ocean shelf, which is there from the previous Atlantean age. There's something in the ocean from the previous Atlantean civilization, Atlantean age, that will enable the higher intelligence, which is the Most High, to come through the ocean by using the Pyramid 5 energy configuration of the Bermuda Triangle. A whole lot of stuff right here, right? These previous Atlantean fields of crystalline or lines, right? Crystalline, Ley-Lines, crystalline. These previous Atlantean fields of crystalline energy are being reactivated as centers of energy focus on the planet, which will be used once the Earth's inner core of neutral matter has been heaved up. It makes sense. The return of the dove. Now the dove is returned, and she's reactivating these crystalline energy fields. Okay? And they're being reactivated as centers of energy focused on the planet, which will be used once the Earth's inner core of neutral matter has been heaved up. Now, who's talking about this? It's not the other nations. It's the Israelites mentioned here in these pages, who were to what? To lead mankind. Who were to be what? To lead mankind to spiritual freedom, away from false gods. Okay? Away from false gods to true power, the Israelites. So now it's fitting that Israel represents the spiritual capstone of light. Okay? It's fitting that the people of the dove are the people that has received this information to share with the world, I guess with the nation. Let's read that again. These previous Atlantean fields of crystalline energy are being reactivated as centers of energy focused on the planet, which will be used once the Earth's inner core of neutral matter has been heaved up. New Atlantean centers will be activated from the Bermuda Triangle. New Atlantean centers will be activated from the Bermuda Triangle. The locations: the Great Salt City, Jerusalem, Hebron, which are already known as the pyramid areas by the higher evolution. These areas will be used by the Jerusalem Command from Orion to open the chambers of the earth and provide for the shifting of consciousness to the Americas, the next home of the dove. As the Father's shifts, as the Father's program, see, the Most High is shifting. He has shifted already. As the Father's program shifts from the Middle East to the Middle West, the home of the dove, America Pana. Okay? Return of the dove to America. So in this book, it shows you something right here. If you go to the back of the book. This shows you what? This shows you the ancient land of the dove. So the ancient land of the dove was the east. Okay? The east. The ancient land of the dove was the east. Not here. Right? So now, when you come back to the front of the book, in this chapter that I'm reading, you get what? The return of the dove. So it makes sense when we just read that. We just read that the Father's program shifts from the Middle East to the West. The coming return of the dove will also use artificial time warp areas so as to touch upon the islands of light. Upon what? The islands of light. The coming return of the dove will use artificial time warps areas so as to touch upon the islands of light where the righteous will gather, who are not in the natural time warps. They will land upon the sands of the promised Abraham and the prophets of light who speak of the sins of the righteous being carried to higher levels of star intelligence. It's all going to take place right here in America. It's going down right here on the lands promised to Abraham. These landing places are the basin areas which were used by previous cycles of higher intelligence and which contain the documents. These areas which were previously used by these higher intelligent beings, okay, they contain the documents telling us how these areas will be reactivated. It's all in the book. Number 42. 43. Therefore, they tell you to know the 12 major areas of light, such as the Cataclysmic Basin, the Medigo, and a couple of them that they talk about over here. Hebron, Great Salt Sea, the Bermuda Triangle, the pyramid areas. Okay. So the 12, these 12 locations, okay, previously used, okay, they have the money. What money? Well, they have the what I just read here. They have these landing places used by previous cycle of intelligence contain the documents. They have our documents priceless, right? They have documents telling how these areas will be reactivated. Remember what I just read before that, okay? The coming return of the dove will also use these time warp areas to touch upon the islands of light where the righteous will gather. We're going to be gathering in these places, okay? Okay, and they will lay upon the sands of the they will lay upon the sands that were promised to Abraham. And the prophets of light who speak of the sands of the righteous being carried to higher levels of intelligence. 44. Until these 12 areas, cities of light, or stations, these 12 areas, cities of light, or stations, unto them, okay, until these 12 areas, cities of light, or stations of light technology will come down from the Milky Way, which will be as cities from the Sea of Crystal. Will come down from the Milky Way. What will come down from the Milky Way? Cities from the Sea of Crystal, for they will be brought down from stations in the heavens, such as the Betelgeuse, Orion, a Bethel life station honoring the Father, the city of God, the heavenly Zion. It just described this right there. Okay, these 12 areas, cities of light, or stations of light technology will come down from the Milky Way, which will be as cities from the Sea of Crystal. They will be as cities from the Sea of Crystal, for they will be brought down from stations in the heavens, such as the Betelgeuse, Orion, or a Bethel life station honoring the Father. The higher intelligence will return to such areas as the Cataclysmic basin, the Euro-Caspian Sea basin, the Dead Sea basin, the basin of the Sahara, the basin of the Kalahari, and the Salt Lake Basin area, where the programmers originally came to lay the foundations of the deep during previous alpha cycles. The 12 artificial time warp islands of light will be formed out of the oceans and seas in great interlocking circles connected with the polar areas. The harmonics of light will reveal the ancient lands. Listen to this. The harmonic of lights will reveal the ancient lands. Now, we know this in part. We don't know all of it, but here it is. The harmonic of lights will reveal the ancient lands of the Nephites in the Americas. These will show the overlap where the brotherhood will land in America to gather who? The righteous seed, the seed of Abraham, who were promised. They will come within the formation of a magnificent dove. They will come within the formation of a magnificent dove, whose head of crystal knowledge will be over the Yucatan Peninsula. Big Levi, you talk about this Yucatan Peninsula, whose wings shall sweep across the danger zones of North America, whose feet will land within the pyramidal area of the Bermuda Triangle and the ocean area near Mazatlan, and whose body will gather the pearls. Who's the pearls? We are the pearls of great price. We are the apple of his eyes. Who are the pearls? We are the pearls. So they will gather, right? They will gather the pearls of the communities of the righteous into the heartland of the Ancient of Days. We are the pearls. And they will come within the formation of magnificent dove, whose head of crystal knowledge will be over the Yucatan Peninsula. And that's number 48. Whose wings shall sweep across the danger zone of the eastern and western flank of North America. Whose feet will land within the pyramidal area of the Bermuda Triangle and the ocean near Mazatlan, and whose body will gather the pearls of the communities of the righteous into the heartland of the Ancient of Days. And the Ancient of Days is no one else than Adam or Yatzikad. The Ancient of Days is not Yeshaya. Yeshaya is eternal, so he can be the Ancient of Days. He's from everlasting to everlasting. The Ancient of Days is no one else than the one you used to know as Adam, who is now Yatzikad, better yet, Gabriel. Because according to the covenant of Gabriel, in the first book of the Gospel of the book of Remembrance of Enoch, Gospel of Haggai, Yatzikad, whom you used to know as Abel, as Adam, became Gabriel. According to this covenant, he's supposed to be what? The father to the righteous only. The father to the righteous only. Why to the righteous only? The wicked have chosen their own daddy, and their daddy is Cain. Lord nugget for you right there. Okay, now let's go. Gather the pearls of the communities of the righteous into the heartland of the Ancient of Days. Into all these areas around the world, technologies of light will come from the galactic command in Orion with instructions to help the Adamic race bring peace to the earth. You hear that? Technologies of light, higher technology. We're going to have technology that will bring peace to the earth. Okay? People who are to be brought into these areas will be transfigured. Woo! Transfigured. To go on. No bodies, baby. No bodies, no everything. See, the pearl, the righteous, the sons and daughters of Yatzikad, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, righteous Israel. Okay? We are the people and others that the Most High has chosen and selected. We are the people that would have this technology of light that will bring peace to the earth, right? And people who are to be brought, the people, us and them, who are to be brought into these areas will be transfigured to go on with the galactic seed already in the image of the Lamb, given in the galactic keys of the Pleiades, baby. This is deep, y'all. Let's keep going. Almost done. And their seed in the physical flesh will then be like the stars of the heaven. And our children, their seed in the physical flesh will be like what? The stars of heaven, full of light. Great things about to happen. Okay? So we already know the dove is here. This is the knowledge. We're receiving this knowledge. We got these locations. Something's about to happen. When all these vortexes connect with the ones in the heavens, and these vehicles of light travel through this earth plane, and they take us up out of here. Yo, listen, man. You got to read this chapter again, okay? Into all these areas around the world, technologies of light will come from the galactic command in Orion with instructions to help the Adamic race bring peace to the earth. People who are to be brought into these areas will be transfigured to go on with the galactic seed already in the image of Yahushai. He's the Lamb, given in the galactic key of the Pleiades. And their seed in the physical flesh will then be like the stars of the heaven. Listen, it and go to bed, please. They will take the exodus to other star systems in order to begin a new genesis in the next ordering of creation. They will do what? They will take the exodus. They will take us, we are the exodus, to other star systems in order to begin a new genesis, a new beginning in the next ordering of creation. At this time, the great white brotherhood, okay. At this time, the great brotherhood, the great light brotherhood, will come to take its own seed. For 20 million years ago, it planted its seed crystal within the galaxy. At intervals of every 6 to 12,000 years, the celestial lords of light gather the cultivated seed crystal of evolution left by the original Adamic guardians who were activated to direct the progeny of the earth. Now, this page I have not read, so we're about to read it together. I don't know what's in it. Same chapter, last page. At this point in our consciousness time zone, the celestial lords of light will come back by order of the galactic command in Orion, which governs many universes, to save the Adamic seed. They will deliver their seed and the seed of the other nations who wish to be coded into the galactic tree of the living light. This is your mark right there, okay? This is your real mark. They will deliver their seed, and they will deliver their seed and the seed of the other nations who wish to be coded into the galactic tree of the living light in the paradise mentioned worlds of the Father. Those who have accepted the Christ seed, okay, now you gotta skip the bones. I'm not even gonna read the bones. Those who have accepted the Christ seed, and there's a bone right next to it, or any of the lords of light, will have within them the active channels of light, which will allow them to function as the Adamic race upon other planetary worlds and in other universes. The world that they will inherit will depend upon the maturity of the soul and the way they have allowed the light to function within them in service to their fellow creation. The key is given, the great promise of the great meeting of space through the galactic command, which will take a sea crystal personified in the sea of salt into the greater sea of crystal, where it will be able to be the salt, all right? Will be what? The salt of the earth, of other existing universes, and the seed crystals of the living word in new worlds, right? So what happened is, in the sealed portion, in the sealed book of Mormon, the Most High told Moses of this new world, right? Let's just go there real quick. Page, I believe page 112 or 118. All right, page 129. Number 21, page 128. And I have created countless worlds, right? Okay, I'm going to read from 128, bottom, 129, top. And I have created countless worlds, and also created them for my own purpose, and created them by the Son, S-O-N, who is only my only begotten. And I called Adam the first man of all men, that is many. However, I'll tell you of this earth, Moses. I'll tell you only of this earth and its inhabitants. For behold, there are many worlds, which by the word of my power have passed away, as the world of mankind is passing now. But he that does my will, these stands forever. And there are many who now stand and are innumerable for men to understand. But all things are understandable to me, for they are mine. And I know them in detail. And it came to pass that I, Moses, spake unto the Lord, saying, Be merciful to thy servant, O God, and tell me concerning this earth, and to its inhabitants, and to the heavens. And then your servant will be satisfied. And behold, the Lord God spake unto me, saying, The heavens are many, and are innumerable for men to comprehend in its fullness. Okay, so what does he tell him? Even as a land shall pass away, and her heavens shall be dissolved, so that another in her place shall arise. And there is no end to my works, and there is no end to my words. Okay, now that's it. So this book speaks of the page 129, 128. Speak of the other worlds. Okay, so let's go. All right. The key is giving the great promise. The key is giving the great promise of the great meeting of space through the galactic command, which will take its seed crystal personified in the sea of salt into the great sea of crystal, where it will be able to be the salt of other existing universes. Okay, so we are the salt here. We're going to be taken and be the salt on other universes, in the seed crystal of the living word in new worlds. So we're going to be the new salt on these other planets, these other universes, right? That's what I just read. I don't know if I'm reading it wrong, but let me know what you think. In these 12 energy fields, into these 12 energy fields will move the artificial time warps. As the artificial time warps move after the specific areas, the galactic command will be able to take the physical creation and energize its body into the Adamic structure of the great light brotherhood. No matter what race or group. Okay, so why would you just mention what you just mentioned? The crystalline fields of the 12 Urim and Thummim will be opened. So the Urim and the Thummim have crystalline fields that will be open. So let's talk about the Urim for a second. It's called Urim because it's two stones. One is called two is Urim for plural, right? The Thummim is the other object by which the Urim is supposed to be rested upon. While using the Urim only, while using the Urim, the person using the Urim cannot hold it in their hands. Why? Because the Urim cannot be held by anyone who has sinned. The Urim is an object that allows you to see through the eyes of the Almighty power, the great I am loving kindness, and He is holy. So when you're using it, it's like you're seeing what God is seeing. You become actually one with God. So you can't touch it because you are impure. So the Thummim, so who was using the Urim first? Enoch, okay? Enoch used it first. So the Most High coached Enoch how to use the Urim. Okay? He taught him how to use it. He said, when you're using the Urim, so you need something to rest it on. So Enoch took a piece of wood from the almond tree. He designed this piece of wood from the almond tree. So when he would be using the Urim, he would rest the Urim on the almond tree wood, all right, which he called the Thummim. Hence the name Urim and Thummim. So I guess the Urim and Thummim sent us here. The crystalline fields of the 12 Urim and Thummim will be opened. What I just mentioned is found in the book of Haggai. Okay? Book of Enoch, Revelation of Remembrance of Enoch, Gospel of Haggai. All right. The crystalline fields of the 12 Urim and Thummim will be open, will be cleansed. And as the scroll of Revelation says, we will be one. We will be one. We will be one with the great throne in the midst of the earth. And what is the great throne in the midst of the earth? The heavenly Zion coming down. Which we talked about in the previous paragraphs. We will be one with the great throne. We will be one with our power. The nations of the earth will be saved from war and destruction through the people of the light. And who are the people of light? Israel. All right? We are from the light, children of the light, from the Father of lights. The nations of the earth. So we're going to bring peace to the earth when we have this technology. We are supposed to bring peace, okay, to the earth when we have this technology. We're supposed to bring peace upon the whole earth. The world is waiting for us, beloved. We need to petition to our Father. First, remember, we can have all this information but never achieve anything if we're not walking right, living right, repenting of our sins, and of course, baptism. This is the gospel. Repent and be baptized for the remission of your sins. Unconditional love for the brethren, compassion, charity, the fruits of the Spirit. Live by them. Don't just talk about them. Live by them. Make them part of your life. Second nature to you, right? We have to be, like I would say, like them of old. We got to be like our righteous ancient ancestors, like Seth. Righteous Seth. Like the people of Enoch, which were the people of Mawin. Like the people of Zion. You know, remember Zion? Zion is a people. Zion is not a mountain. Zion begins here, and then in the home, and then it spreads to the communities of the righteous, children of light. All right, but we're not talking about that tonight. Okay, so there we go. These time warp zones. Where am I? These time warp zones. Let's see. Okay, the 61. We have to 64. The nations of the earth will be saved from war and destruction through the people of light. The people of light will enter all those energy vortex directed by Jerusalem. Yeah, okay. By the Jerusalem command. Okay. The higher intelligence from Orion controlling the physical energy field now over the present Israel. No, not over. Nah, that's a bone. Okay. These time warp zones are the stepping stones for the Watchmen of Zion. Yeah. Now we're back to the truth. The Watchmen of Zion are being sent into the 12 geophysical time warp areas to proclaim, to do what? To proclaim the Ley-Line, the pillar of light, which will come out of the larger artificial time warp areas of light. So the Watchmen of Zion are being sent to this location, to the 12 geophysical time warp areas to proclaim the Ley-Line, L-A-Y-O-O-E-S-H. L-A-Y-O-O-E-S-H, the Ley-Line, which is the pillar of light, which will come out of the larger artificial time warp areas of light. The Watchers of Zion will move into these areas and code the people from these areas. There goes your mark. This is the real mark, okay? Okay. The Watchers of Zion will move into these areas and code the people from these areas, those in the physical form, as well as those in other dimensions of intelligence, which have always coexisted with the people of the earth, which have always coexisted with the people of the earth, but who have not been seen by the people of the earth unless they have been polarized by the pillar of light that governs all the angels among us. They can see us, we can see them. But every now and then, the veil is lifted. We can see them. It's called what? Polarized by the pillar of light that governs all. Unless the Most High allow us to see them. For behold, a great sign will be given. Wait. Praying for a sign. Well, it's already been given. You don't have to pray for it. Thank you, Most High, for the sign given. Can never go wrong with a thank you prayer. Thank you, Father of lights, for the sign given. For behold, a great sign will be given unto you, which will be the coming of the pyramidal capstone of the Christ's light in the skies, which will land upon the pyramidal foundations of the righteous, to quicken the living, to quicken the living dust. We are the living dust of gravitational trapped light to become a new earth, to quicken the living dust to gravitational time trapped light to become a new earth. Look, I hope and pray that this add more information, more edification to the ley lines. All right. So, big homie, big Judah, you can do a better job at this than I can ever would. This is not my lane. I got my own lane. All right. So this is it right here. This is how time warp looks like. All right. And this is the same chapter where you discussed the return of the dove. Right here in these Americas. The Most High shifted from the east to the west. And sons and daughters of light, Zion, Israel, are right smack in the middle of all these changes. Beloved, this is the book. You will find it on Amazon, no less than $100. I love you. Shalom.